Chest if you think I'm perfect. Go ahead, bang on it. No heart?
You gotta have heart. Miles and miles of heart.
This is Patchwork Heart Ministry's Young Catholics Respond, brought to you by Breadbox Media. And now, here's my voiceover guy, Adam Frank.
Thanks, Bill. My name is Adam Frank. I am the usual voiceover intro for this show, Young Catholics Respond. And we are going to be role reversing for the first time in about a year, just a little bit, to talk about our new book that we have coming out. For those of you who are new to the show, I am not usually the host. The host is our founder, Bill Snyder. Bill, who is here with me. I haven't gotten rid of him. He's still here. Bill is the founder of Patchwork Heart Ministry, a nonprofit 501c3 Catholic youth and young adult ministry. And he has been inspiring, engaging, and challenging young people to live their life boldly through faith, by example, through storytelling and media initiatives. Bill, how long have we been doing this show?
Oh my gosh, since 2013 is when we officially started doing this show. And it's so much fun to be journeying with you and playing a little bit of role reversal, as you mentioned. So it's great to be with you and all of our listeners here on Young Catholics Respond.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a very, very fun better half of a decade.
Yeah.
So this book that we're going to talk about today, Hearts Burning Within Us. This book is the result of that grace-infused conversion, and we pray that as you read these pages, the Holy Spirit will set your heart aflame like the disciples on the road to Emmaus. Using the road to Emmaus as a model, Young Adult Ministries conversed weekly for 3 months with college students about the most pressing questions that they had about the Catholic faith. And as we virtually, during the shutdown, as we virtually and safely did this journey together, some amazing things happened. Doubts disappeared, fears faded away, and Jesus revealed that he is very much still alive and among us today.
Yeah. It was a pretty cool process. This Hearts Burning Within Us book, as you mentioned, we kind of used the road to Emmaus as a model. And how we did that was, actually, let me start back up just a little bit. In, I think, 2013 or 2014, I wrote a foreword for this book called Hearts Burning Within Us. And I was a youth minister at the time at St. Francis de Sales Catholic Church, and I knew that I wanted to do something for, the seniors leaving to go off to college and provide them with a question and answer book, because they have so many questions. High schoolers have so many different questions, especially as they step out into the collegiate world. So I wrote this forward to the book, and then what ended up happening was it just became a forgotten Google Doc. And it sat on the shelf until 2020, when we got together virtually, and one of my co-hosts, Ann DeSantis, for the Sowing Hope podcast, I was on a virtual call with her, and I just happened to casually mention the forward to the book. I shared it with her, and she immediately got back to me and said, "Bill, I can make this happen. Let's start it next week." And I was like, "Oh, whoa, okay, wait a minute. Maybe this is the right time." And I was blown away. And so anyway, what happened was she said, I know some people at some different universities that can help us. So we have Maggie Riggins, and we also have Jennifer Southerton, who are representing both Lourdes and DeSales universities. And what they did was they pulled some students from their campus ministry programs at Lourdes and DeSales universities, and they walked with us through this process. Each and every week, as you mentioned, we sat down with them on Zoom for like 45 minutes, right? And what we would do is we would ask some questions. We'd ask them to give us questions, and then we would give the responses. And throughout the week, what we did was we took this Google Doc and we just continued writing some of these questions. And then new questions would pop up throughout the week. So like, there's one question on underage drinking. Well, then the underage drinking question, spawned a question on marijuana usage, and it spawned, many different, I wouldn't say variations, but the conversation was very living, much like the disciples on the road to Emmaus, right? Like they have all these questions, and this mystery guy shows up and he begins to answer all their questions. And he's like, hey, wait, how about this? And then how about that? And he goes, well, he ends up explaining the entire Old Testament to them and how it relates to the Messiah. And by the end, they're so intrigued that they're like, oh my gosh, we feel complete. Won't you hang out with us for dinner? And as soon as Jesus goes and breaks the bread, they're like, oh, duh, that's Jesus. And so that's exactly what happened during this process. Through the questions and answers back and forth each and every week, the Lord just showed up in a powerful way. The other thing I want to mention too, as part of this, was that we really took the time to pray with one another. So even though in the 45-minute conversation that we had each and every week, and we were really good about holding to that time frame, because we know college students are busy and campus ministers are busy and all of that stuff, but we were all committed to it. But the other thing we did at the end of that, we would go around, we would just list the things we needed to pray for, and there was a lot in the middle of the pandemic. There are people that are being affected by all kinds of things, job loss and disease and whatever. So we would go around each and every week, we'd pray together after we had this conversation, and it was beautiful. The Lord again showed up, many prayers were answered. And now that this book is, ready for release, and is released through Patchwork Heart Ministry and our good friends at Karis Publishing, we're just so blessed to have this book in print now. And so I'm just blown away and so happy that this conversation turned into a book.
Yeah, college was not that long ago for me. Like I remember being, that young person, being, fresh out of high school, trying to figure out what I was going to do next and having questions like that. What were some of the ones that, were pretty common, the ones that several different students asked?
Yeah, I think a couple of the really big ones obviously were on sexual ethics. A lot of people, young people, have questions about sexual ethics, especially LGBTQ question. That was a very popular hot button issue that we needed to address because it was very, very popular. Of course, there's always the question about, I think that'll probably be the most read in the book, as I mentioned, is the underage drinking question. Why, can we use marijuana faithfully as a Catholic? Those kind of questions, I think, are questions that I think almost every college kid is going to open up and turn to and look for in their journey at some point through college. So having those questions written in there, and solid, loving responses, I think that's the other thing too, is that this is a conversation, and it's not it's not something that it's not another catechism. Right. This is basically a transcript of a conversation. So these common questions, as you said, these common questions were discussed in a way that was like you and me on a podcast, or you and me sitting across the table with a cup of coffee, trying to discuss these. And again, we're faithful to the magisterium of the church. We're not, making up our own rules. We're not saying, that you can go out and, binge drink on weekends. We're not saying that you can, be high or, smoke marijuana. But the reality is that what we did was we formed this from the perspective of, let's do this with charity and with love in a conversational way, so that it's not this threatening top-down approach, like, oh, by the way, here are the official edicts of the Catholic Church, and here's the Bible, let me hit you over the head with it. Here's the catechism, let me whack you with it. That's not what this is.
Yeah, and it's probably also not a stats lesson. It's like, well, this is the number of kids each year that are affected by marijuana. It's not that kind of a conversation.
No, and that's beautiful, because again, that's what we're going for, is the conversion of heart, right? We're going for the conversion of heart. We're going for the encounter with Jesus. I also say in the forward to this book, or into the introduction, I should say, in this book, I say, if you're not doing the things to practice the faith, this book is nothing more than maybe a fun little ride, right? Like, I remember hearing a speaker one time say that, this, you think about a roller coaster, right? A roller coaster is a lot of fun for 2 or 3 minutes. You ride around, you go upside down, you're whizzing through the air, and guess what? You get off at the same place that you started. And, that right there should be a reminder to us that that's not what our faith walk should be. It should not just be a fun 2 or 3 minute long ride. Oh, I read this book. If the heart isn't being transformed, if it's not being changed, if you're not doing those things, putting the responses that we have in this book into practice, going to Mass on days of holy obligation and on Sundays, going to a reconciliation on a regular basis. If you're not doing these things, right? Like if you're not doing them, then all this is going to be as a fun ride. I tell college students, and maybe a little bit of information, but don't let that be you. Participate in this, and take the responses that we have and do your best to live them. And that's where you're going to get the best effect out of this book.
That is a fantastic jumping off point. And I do have more questions that I have for that. But first, we need to take a short break and hear a little bit from some of the people who support our program. Don't go away.
Today, many students go to college with numerous questions about their faith, yearning to know if the seed planted in them as a child is both true and practical. Using the miracle on the road to Emmaus as a model, young adult ministers conversed weekly for 3 months with college students about the most pressing questions they had about the Catholic faith. As they journeyed together virtually, something amazing happened. Doubts disappeared, fears faded, and Jesus revealed that He is still alive. Hearts Burning Within Us, the latest book from Patchwork Heart Ministry, is a result of that grace-infused conversation. It is the perfect back-to-school gift for recent high school graduates and current college students. Get your copy for them today at patchworkheart.org or by calling 424-704-3278. That's 424-704-3278.
Patchwork Heart Ministry is committed to sowing hope into broken hearts by helping young people encounter the love of Jesus Christ and His Catholic Church through prayer, storytelling, and media initiatives. We invite you to prayerfully consider supporting this mission financially. Mail your tax-deductible donation to Patchwork Heart Ministry at P.O. Box 563, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, zip code 53147. Or visit patchworkheart.org to donate online. That's Patchwork Heart Ministry, P.O. Box 563, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin 53147, or online at patchworkheart.org.
At times it seems like the world today is filled with so much division, bigotry, and hatred. So it's up to us to make sure that we get back to the basics, and that is Jesus Christ and His message of faith, hope, and love. Faith, Hope, Love with John and Morgan Bender is a new project that seeks to do just that by engaging and inspiring Catholics within the Archdiocese of Milwaukee and beyond. Read personal faith stories, interviews, and news all by visiting the Faith, Hope, and Love blog.blogspot.com or follow us on Twitter at Johnny Bender MKE.
The St. Raymond Nonatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith offers prayerful accompaniment for those who are affected by divorce and separation. We offer free online support meetings for those affected by divorce and for adult children of divorce. You can learn more about us at nonatus.org. That's NONNATUS.org. Text or call 215-870-9913.
Welcome back, everybody, to Young Catholics Respond. My name is Adam Frank. I am switching roles with Bill here. Usually I am the voiceover guy, but today I am hosting, and Bill is a guest on his own show, and we are talking about our wonderful new book, Hearts Burning Within Us, which is, we were just talking about how it is essentially a transcription of real conversations that we had with young adults exiting high school, going into college, and some of the questions that they had about the world that they were about to become a part of.
Yeah, it's a fascinating concept, and it's one, again, that really this was the right time to write this book. You know, as I mentioned in the first half of the program, I said, you know, this sat as a forward or, you know, an introduction to a book for about, you know, 6 years. And what was amazing about that journey, you know, pulling those college students from Lourdes into Sales, was that we selected students across the spiritual spectrum, right? Students who were very actively involved in their faith, and others that were kind of involved, but maybe not as sold hook, line, and sinker. So we picked that spectrum to get some really balanced questions, and the transcript of our conversation, right? Like the way this unfolded and now is in print is something that we believe can go and touch hearts, because it's like you can be in the middle of our conversation. If you've ever been like a fly on a wall at a coffee shop, that's what we intend this book to be for you. So, like, you know, you're sitting there and you're listening to a conversation of a friend, or maybe, you know, somebody behind you at a coffee shop or at a restaurant, and you're like, oh, that's a very interesting conversation. You kind of pause and you kind of listen to it. That's the intention of this style of writing. That's the intention of how we, you know, wrote this book. So I'm really excited about how college students can plug into it, because they are not going to be afraid or in, I don't want to say the word afraid. I want to say they're not going to be like standoffish about this book. They can approach it. They can flip it open to any page. It's not something like you're going to have to sit there for hours to read. I think our longest response is like 4 pages. So, you know, you're going to be able to plug into it. You're going to be like, oh, I got my answer. Okay, I can move on with my day. Next week, when another question comes up, you can go, oh, I've got another, you know, question about this. Let me flip it open. Let me read it. And let me get that practical experience. Let me get that practical wisdom from that coffee shop atmosphere, you know, so that way you can go and talk to your friend. You can go talk to your mom or your dad even, and say, hey, you know what? I now have a deeper awareness. I now have a deeper understanding of what, you know, is going on with this question that I had, you know, in my faith journey. So that's really where I think our power of this book is. And as you mentioned, kind of a niche area where we can impact young adults just throughout written conversation, really.
Yeah, I was saying that in the background while we were at break. It's a very human and organic sort of a text. It's just transcription. It's not. I mean, I'm sure it's, you know, formatted to fit into the book the right way, but it's real conversations between real human people. And I thought I latched onto something when you said, you know, with the pandemic being fresh in everybody's minds, and the uncertain state that the pandemic is in today and everything, we are still getting used to interacting with each other in person. And to have that feel back, to have that feeling of going to a coffee shop, sitting down, working on an assignment if you're a college student, and regular people are sharing space in that coffee shop, having conversations, living their lives, to get that feeling back is such a necessary thing. I mean, we as humans are pack animals. We need to have interaction with each other in order to feel healthy and alive and balanced. And you know, in addition to having a relationship with God and a relationship with Jesus and our faith, and to have those things intermingling in a text like this is really something special.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that how we can impact the church is exactly like that, through the human reconnection and providing people with an aid to reconnect in that way. As you mentioned, yes, it's the book is formatted in such a way that it's professionally done, and the transcript has been edited and worked on. It's not something that was just like, okay, has all these transcription like a court transcript where it's just like it's professionally prepared and edited by professional editors, so it reads like a book. But you also have that feel of being able to sit down and say, you know what, this is like two people having a conversation, and each question stands alone, so you can read it as a standalone, as I said, like a resource book. But it can also be plugged in to and read maybe 2 or 3 questions in a row. I give you the example of we had a question about. I give you an example earlier where we had a question about the LGBTQ teaching of the church, and one of the questions that immediately followed that was, well, how about married couples if they don't procreate, in their marriage, and they don't have children? Is it the same thing? And so we were able to answer that question, right after the question on the LGBTQ and the way the church perceives that. So that's basically how we went about this. And I'm real excited, Adam, that we can make this available for people, that we can put it out there for college students. Parents, grandparents can give this to. I mean, now is a perfect time, right? A lot of kids are headed back to school. They've just started the school year. Many colleges are about a month into school, and it's perfect timing to get a copy. It's available on our website, patchworkheart.org, and send it off to the campus mail and say, hey, here's a resource for you when you're, got a question. Here's a resource to help build your faith. Especially some of those colleges that maybe don't have the same resources like Franciscan, or like, those places, those real super Catholic, places. You might be going to a secular university and trying to live your faith out amidst, trying to go to, University of Wisconsin or University of Illinois or something like that. And like, okay, how do I don't have those same resources that are at a Catholic school with regular masses and all that stuff. So how do I plug in? How do I find that? Well, this resource is for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you out there who are college ministers, or running your college youth group or whatever you're doing, this would be great insight into what this current generation, this current year of kids coming into college is thinking and feeling. It's a great tool for such a thing. And don't worry if you're going to a secular school. You will absolutely find your people, and you will absolutely find that religious group that you were looking for as well.
Yeah, and that was actually one of the questions in the book. Is it okay to have friends who are not religious? Is it okay? How do I find people who are like-minded, right? Like those are questions in the book. And so they're great they're great responses that can help you actually find that, like on your campus or through the diocese that you're going to. If you're not at a Catholic school, if you haven't been able to plug into those resources yet, we've got some really good suggestions for you in the book, because guess what? They're actually questions from college students. How do I do this? And so it's not just a it's not just a here's all the teachings of the church. Here they all are. No, do your best. No, this is really
you're on your own now. No, it's not like that. In fact, the fact that we were able to produce this book is proof that it's not like that. This entire book is young kids just like you with the same questions.
Exactly. So I'm blessed to be able to offer it. Again, it's available on our website, very simply, patchworkheart.org. And by the way, on our website, it's all of the bulk pricing is built into it. So you get the discounts for, if you purchase more than 5 or more than 10 or more than 50, there's different levels of, discounts for that. It's already built on our website, so you can take advantage of that. And you can also reach out to our publisher as well. If you want to go through our publisher directly to get a copy of the book, you can. That's charispublishing.com, especially if you want to place a big order. Let's say you want to buy them for your whole campus ministry or something, like 300 copies or something like that. I just encourage you to reach out to them directly, because you'll get it quicker than if you reach out to us and we have to contact the publisher and say, can you ship 300 copies over to these people? We could do that for you, but reach out directly to our publisher, Charis Publishing, CHARIS publishing.com. And I'll put all those links down in the show notes for y'all.
Fantastic. All righty. Well, this has been a phenomenal experiment, and I don't dislike this side of the mic. but obviously you are the professional, and I will keep this in the hands of professionals where it belongs. But we hope you will tune in to us for our next podcast. Bill, where can they hear us?
Yes, you can follow, friend, like us, whatever, on all the social media platforms. So Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, like us, follow us all there. And then you can also hear us anywhere podcasts are found. So all you need to do is search for either Patchwork Heart Radio or Young Catholics Respond, and you will find this program anywhere that you can possibly find a podcast. I will put the plug in for people to definitely check us out on the YouTube channel as well, because we've got some great programs that are coming out, and looking forward to producing some more wonderful programs on our YouTube channel. So you can actually listen to Young Catholics Respond on our YouTube channel too, because all the videos turn into audio up there. So if you follow and like us on YouTube, you'll get everything, including some pretty cool video content headed your way, like our Sowing Hope podcast, which is now video and available on Tuesday nights. But thanks, Adam, for your wonderful hosting, and I really do appreciate all that you do for Patchwork Heart Ministry, because you are just a wonderful soul and a great influence on Patchwork Heart Ministry and on our corporate board. So thank you.
I am very, very happy to still be a part of it. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for listening to us, and hope to hear you next time on Young Catholics Respond.
You've been listening to Young Catholics Respond, a radio initiative of Patchwork Heart Ministry. To learn more about our ministry and our other podcasts and media programs, visit us on our website at patchworkheart.org. Or to get exclusive access and premium content, become our patron on Patreon at patreon.com/patchworkheartministry. Did you enjoy this podcast? Listen to other podcasts from Patchwork Heart Ministry by following Patchwork Heart Radio wherever you listen to podcasts.